What is up, everybody? The Vermont 100 is complete. We got it done. We got our shiny new belt buckle, and we're going to be adding it to the collection with the other belt buckles. Got 3 total 100-mile belt buckles. Starting to feel like a Pokemon trainer out there, just trying to collect them all. I learned so much from the Vermont 100, and I'm just going to take those lessons, throw them right into my training as we lead up to the Yeti 100 in Virginia. That's September 30th, so only about 2 months away. I lined up these 200-milers, so then I have an A race, which was the Vermont 100, and then if anything happens like that, or if training goes well, then I can roll right into the B race, which was the Yeti 100. I'm feeling really well. It's only been about a week since I actually ran the Vermont 100, so maybe we can do something really special or really fun and push ourselves really hard during this Yeti 100. We'll see how training goes, and once we actually get back into running. I took an extended rest period, I'll probably be doing full rest for about a week to 2 weeks, and then building back up into the Yeti 100. But this video is about the Vermont 100 race recap, and let's get right into it. I got some footage on course, just a couple check-ins, and then I'll be filling in the information as we go on. So let's go into our first clip. This first clip, I was just waking up in the van. For the Vermont 100, I was completely solo. I didn't have any crew. I didn't have any pacers. I didn't even have any supporters or family or anything like that. So I just packed up my van. I made it all nice and pretty. I had a cooler, a fan, so don't feel bad for me. I wasn't like in a tent or anything like that. I had a nice mattress. I just stuffed everything in the van, pretty much set up like a little RV, and went up there the day before, passed out, and woke up, and this is where we're going to start off in. So enjoy the clips, and I'll be jumping in intermittently. It is 1 a.m. and just woke up 3 hours before, so I could grab some food, get the BMs moving, get some caffeine in, have my brain mentally awake as much as possible. So I like to try to wake up at least 3 hours before the race starts. So awake, gonna take it nice and slow, eating some gas station sushi. I'll have some gas station sushi. Probably like a bagel, some Tailwind, and then call it good for breakfast. Sleep was a little bit tricky. Kept waking up. I'm actually not sure how much I actually slept. I went down around 6 p.m. and then woke up at 1. So that was about 7 hours of tossing and turning. But I didn't move, just completely relaxed. Not quite sure how much I actually slept, but got some rest in, so can't complain with that. Can't complain, but we'll see how much actual sleep I got when I'm out on course 20 hours later. So let's see. Yeah, so since I was car camping, the designated camping / overnight parking area was about a quarter mile away, and it was just a nice brisk walk to the start line and where you actually check in. You walk down this little path and you walk into this big covered tent area. You check in at the front table. Everybody was buzzing around. There was a lot of energy. I wanted to make sure that I didn't get into that tent area too early, just to keep the emotions low, to keep everything nice and stable, keep calm and everything like that. I didn't want my adrenaline to spike up. Usually if my adrenaline spikes for too long, my heart rate kind of bumps up at least 10 to 15 beats per minute, and that adrenaline really I end up dumping a lot of that adrenaline on the first couple miles. So I wanted to keep it really stable and really calm at the beginning of the race. So I pretty much went down there probably with 15 minutes to go from the start of the actual race. We lined up. Everybody was getting super excited. All the cell phones and GoPros were out. I talked to another YouTuber, Chase the Summit, really quickly, just said what's up. I talked to a couple other people, and then it was 3, 2, 1, ready to go.
Oh, the dice! I see the dice! Here we go, here we go.
You go way back here.
Damn!
You're way up front.
Up front?
At the start of the race, I was feeling really good. I just wanted to run my own pace, just like I did with Manchester to Monadnock. I didn't want to get caught up in a pack, so I went to the side of the road, and I was just kind of swerving in and out of people, keeping really calm, making sure that I was only breathing through my nose, keeping my heart rate low, but moving at my own pace. Right, so we are 10 miles into Vermont 100 and feeling good. Got 200 calories of tailwind in me and some gummies, so about 300 calories so far. About an hour and 43 minutes. Sun's come up, dropped off the headlamp, and feeling pretty good. The climbs are a lot steeper than I expected, but I have been training on inclines, so it's going good. Legs are holding up. The ultra vanished tempos. And they're holding up. The trail is really hard packed dirt road, so no slipping, no problems whatsoever. So I'm gonna stay on it, stay on the gas pedal to see how long I can hold on, and we'll see what we can do. Check in later. All right, mile 20 check-in. We are heading up one of these hills. I don't know if you can see the incline, but this 100 miler is basically just hill repeats for 100 miles. So slowing down, going up the hills, running the hills when I can. And then if it gets too incliney, if that's a word, probably like anything above 10% grade, I'm walking and then just running down, making sure that I'm controlling my breathing on the way down so I don't blow out. And then usually controlling my breathing going up, unless I'm talking to a GoPro. So still feeling good. 20 miles or 20.08, 3 hours, 25 minutes, total ascent, 2,800 miles. Not miles, 2,800 feet of elevation gain. So still pretty out, still cool out, not too hot. Staying on nutrition, drinking plain water also at the unmanned aid stations. So let's get back into it. About to go down. All right, so this is 21.2 miles in, and this is the first big man aid station where crew members can actually meet the runners, or if you're a solo runner, when you have access to your first drop bag. I had a full breakdown of everything that I actually had in these drop bags and how I set them up and why I set them up, so I'll just go through this really quick. I got the aid station stops down pretty much to a science. I was actually pretty proud about how I was dealing with the drop bags and how I was dealing with the aid stations, trying to be as fast as possible and trying not to soak up that much time during these aid station stops. I think one of the longest aid station stops I actually had was around 10 minutes, maybe like 8 to 10 minutes, and that's just because it was around mile 80 and I had to stop and use the porta potty also. So I was in and out of aid stations probably within 5 to 10 minutes every single time. I would run in, grab my drop bag, and get everything that I needed out, start preparing, put in my tailwind to my bottles, stuff in the extra tailwind in my actual pack, and then stuff whatever food I needed in or grab anything extra. Usually a volunteer would see me fiddling around with my bag and starting to like refill everything. So they would come over with either water and help me fill up my bottles. Especially during the hot sections of this race, the volunteers were, they're rock stars. They're awesome. They were taking care of all the runners. They're really, really keen on seeing who was a solo runner and who was a crew runner. And as soon as the solo runner actually came in, some volunteer would come over and ask you what you wanted and help you get what you needed from that actual aid station. So big shout out to the crew and the volunteers at the Vermont 100. You guys helped me out a lot. So after I got everything that I needed from my drop bag and I got everything resupplied and restocked, I would take one more look at my drop bag because I put some notes on each drop bag. I put on how long it would be until I see my next drop bag. The next aid station was at 9.3 miles. And then I would put on little notes on that. So this one said ice ice baby. This is when the sun would actually be coming up. So I grabbed a neck gaiter and I had it on my wrist, and if it would ever get hot or if I would start overheating, I would have that neck gaiter to fill up with ice, put it on there, and then I would have it on the nape of my neck just full of ice. I actually used that quite a bit during this race when it started getting hot around noontime. Around noon to 4 p.m. it started really heating up, so that neck gaiter really worked out pretty well. So I just double checked the notes that I had on my drop bags, and then it was right out. So my standard resupply for the Vermont 100, and I ended up carrying this throughout the whole race pretty much, even up to mile 90, was I would leave that aid station with 2 soft flasks full of Tailwind or EFS Pro. I would have 2 extra packets that I use in these little baggies, the little cocaine baggies of either Tailwind or EFS Pro. I always had either 2 or 3 of these in my vest at all times when I left the aid station. I always had at least 2 of the cleft blocks. Each one of these are about 200 calories each. And then I would have a honey stinger waffle just in case if I need some emergency calories. I would also have a packet of pills, which had salt tablets, some Tylenol, and some Tums. The Tums and Tylenol, I didn't use that much. Those were just in case. And then there was a couple items that I used when I was actually at the aid station, mostly more nutrition. So I made sure that I had some tortillas and I had some bagels in my drop bags. I ended up eating 3 or 4 of them just to absorb some of that sugary goodness or that sugary mess in the stomach, absorb some of the acid so I didn't have GI distress. I ended up scarfing down quite a bit of tortillas during that race. These are perfect because you can kind of like crumple them up and just shove them in your mouth and you instantly get, 220 to 250 calories. And then you get that nice bulky like white refined carbs in your stomach to absorb some of that acid, absorb some of that stomach. So I really had a lot less stomach distress this race because I think I upped the amount of actual just clean water or regular water with no tailwind, and I added in bagels and tortillas in my nutrition during these aid stations. One other thing that I did have during these aid station stops was some squirrel nut butter in these little baggies. I just kind of parsed them out throughout the aid station drop bags, and then when I would remember, I think I only remember like 2 or 3 times, I would dive my fingers in there, give myself the good old credit card swipe, and then I would hit these hot spots. I probably should have done it in reverse order, but I was so worried about that backwards hot spot back there that I would do that first, and then oh man, when I'm actually thinking about that, it's nasty. Ugh. Anyways, that's how I would resupply, and that's everything that I would be carrying with me from aid station or from drop bag to drop bag. Mile 31, 50K, check in. We're at 5 hours 35 minutes and 2 seconds. Total ascent 4,500 feet. Starting to get hot. The heat is coming up. And the last aid station didn't have my drop bag. So I am kind of low or lower than I want to be on calories. And this was the worst day. This is the worst possible drop bag to be missing, because from this aid station to the next, it's 16.9 miles. There are some water stops with Coke, so to supplement some of the calories, I'll probably do some diluted Coke in the bottle. I have about 3 hours of nutrition on me, which is good. I'm glad that I always carry a little bit more than I need, or than I should need, because of situations just like this. Because if I didn't have this, I'd be proper fucked. Proper fucked. This is the longest stretch, probably the hottest part of the day, and no drop bag. But roll with the punches, smile, say thank you, and then adapt, overcome, and see what you can use on course and what you have in your bag. So, I mean, I say that, but let's see if it all worked out. I'll check back in. Probably won't check back in until the next aid station around mile 50, just because I have to stay focused on my effort, stay focused on my nutrition intake, and these freaking climbs. Yeah, stay focused on them so I'm not exerting too much energy. So I'll check in later. Oh, no ill will to the Vermont 100. I know this is a logistic nightmare. So thank you very much for what you guys do. No ill will. Thank you. 40 miles in. We are at 40 miles, 40.15, 7 hours, 28 minutes and 30 seconds, and a total ascent of 5,906 feet. Ooh, it is getting hot. It's around 12, 11, 11:28, so it's starting to get hot. Got the neck bandana on with some ice in the back. It's helping a little bit, and staying on calories as much as I can. I drank through all my reserves. I still have some hard food that I can eat, so I have about an hour and a half to 2 hours left back to the next aid station where I could restock my stuff. So that's going to be Camp 10 Bear. So taking it somewhat easy, walking these big inclines, getting melted by the heat. I'll give some time to the course since I don't have proper fuel on me. So taking it easy, still running downs, still running the flats, running smaller inclines, but still at it, still moving forward. Let's go.
Just to give a little bit more details of what I was saying on course, this portion of the race is probably one of the most pivotal parts of the race, especially as a solo runner. It's the second aid station that you have a drop bag, and you've been going for 30 miles. So the stage road aid station is at 30 miles. So you're at that ultra distant length, that 50K length. And then you have 17 miles to your next aid station, which is at Camp 10 Bear at around 50 miles. It's also when the sun is starting to come out, so it's a lot hotter. Everything starts heating up. Your legs are tired, and that's really when you need those extra calories to set yourself up for the rest. Unfortunately, for some reason, they didn't have my drop bag at that stage road.
So I grabbed what I could at that aid station. The volunteers were very apologetic. I just kind of made a joke, said you gotta roll with the punches, adapt and overcome, and then took off. So when I got back on course, I made sure I monitored my effort a lot more. I made sure that I was walking the really steep inclines just like I was, but then when it was flat or if there was a slight incline, I still ran, but I didn't push it as hard as I was during the beginning section of the actual race, just because I had a lot less calories to work with. I was taking in whatever Coke or whatever they might have at the other aid stations along the course in that little gap of the 17 miles. I think there was like 3 to 4 unmanned and slightly manned or like less manned aid stations where they just had water and Coke. So I took in as much as I could at those little aid stations and then continued forward. Around mile 40 is when my legs just absolutely exploded for some reason. I wouldn't say absolutely exploded, but they started swelling up. I know when my legs like kind of give loose or, kind of give up, because when I was hiking up, I looked down and usually I could see the 3 sections or the 3 muscle groups of my legs when I'm running. And I just saw like kind of a sausage. So my legs were like kind of like sausages. My hips like swole up. That upper portion of your frontal legs just like was, I couldn't see any definition when I was running up. So my legs were very, very heavy. I was low on calories and it was super hot. I ended up using the ice bandana quite a bit. Every time I would go into an unstage or unmanned aid station, I would make sure that I was getting ice, trying to cool myself down as much as possible so I could keep pushing and try to keep that pace low as much as possible.
All right, 62-mile check-in. I'm still on the struggle bus, getting melted. My hips are flaring up. So, been walking the inclines, running, if you can call it that, running the declines and flats. But right now, I'm on a pretty low incline, still walking it. So, hopefully something turns around, maybe around mile 70 or something, but I am on the struggle bus. We will see what will happen. We will see. I ran up for a little bit with this guy from LA. That was a nice conversation, good pacing, but man, I'm on the struggle bus. Mile 85.79 check-in, 19 hours, 4 minutes, and 32 seconds. Total descent, 12,869. Oh man, I am getting worked. I'm moving a little bit better, running a lot more, but my legs are very heavy. Oh man, I'm gonna have to take a pretty good recovery period after this so I can get ready for the Yeti 100, because my legs were not recovered from all that training I did. So let's get back to it.
You could probably tell from the on-course clips that around mile 50, I was pretty much on the struggle bus until the end of the race. I mean, my legs swelled up around mile 40, and then I was making sure that I was doing everything I could to make sure that my legs didn't get any worse and I would have to drop out or DNF or whatever it may be. I made sure that I monitored my legs very carefully, my calories very carefully, and my effort very carefully, just because I didn't want my legs to get any worse than they were. So I didn't get a lot of clips at the end portion of the actual run, just because I had to stay focused at the task at hand, which seems to be a common thread on all these races, where I go in to try to make an awesome video, but then around mile 50 or like at the later stages of the video, something happens, I get all messed up, and then I just have to kind of leave the pack or leave the camera by itself. Another thing that was really messing with me around mile 50 was this stupid freaking vest. This is the Salomon Sense Pro 5. And I picked this up probably the last week of my training, and I did a couple long runs in it, 20 miles. I think the longest run that I did in it was about 25 miles, and I had no issues with it. I loved it. It was amazing. But then during this race, I don't know if it was because of a little bit extra weight or all the ups and downs, this vest was rubbing the crap out of my neck, and it was absolutely destroying me. I had like a big abrasion right here. It's pretty much healed right now. I'll do another video of all the fun injuries that I got during the Vermont 100, just a fun quick video that I'll be putting out. But the vest was absolutely ripping me apart. So I made sure, so what I did was I dropped everything extra that I wasn't using up to that 50-mile point, and I had everything stuffed in the naked belt. So my loadout ended up being all my nutrition that I listed out earlier, one full bottle in the back, and then I would just hand hold the other bottle in my hand. I would suck that down as fast as I could so it's empty, and then I would shove that bottle into the belt also, and then I would have that extra bottle when I actually needed it. Very minimal bouncing. This is definitely going to be something that I will be using again in the future. If anybody needs a belt like this, I would strongly recommend Naked. I tried the Solomons, I tried a couple other brands, but the Naked belt worked really well, especially during the Vermont 100. It pretty much saved me for not having my freaking collarbone ripped off of my body, and I'm just running around with no collarbone going, help me, No, that probably wouldn't happen, but anyways. Let's get back onto the on-course clips. This is just like the very end. I wasn't able to pick up that much just because it was so dark. This finish line was pretty dark also, and I was kind of messed up, and I was sprinting as fast as I could to the end line or to the finish line. So it's pretty shaky. There were these milk jugs with green chem lights inside of them that lit up the path to the end. And we were probably like half a mile in, and I was booking it to the end, and this dude was letting me pass. And if you're watching this, I still apologize so much because I started booking up. He moved to the side and he turned around to say that I could pass him, and he instantly hit a root and freaking smashed belly first right onto the ground. I stopped, made sure he was okay, tried to help him up, and he was like, no, you're good. I do 100% apologize if you do ever see this. I'm sorry for making you fall. But I booked it for the last mile into the finish line. After I was done with the finish line, I was on the hunt for some food. They were cooking hamburgers and hot dogs, but they were still cooking them and they weren't ready yet. I didn't want to wait any longer. I just wanted to get back into my van and pass out. So I grabbed some Coke and I grabbed some Mountain Dew just to get a little bit extra sugar in me, and I made that trek. It's only a quarter mile to that camping area, or probably like a quarter mile, and it felt like it was the forever walk. The endorphins started to leave my body, and the shakies and the shivers started coming, so it was kind of a struggle getting back to the van. But let's let these last couple clips roll out, and then we'll have a nice outro, and I'll fill in any other information that I might have forgot. Let's go. Thank you.
Yeah. Nice finish.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Nice. 5-4.
All right, we did it. We got it done after 2 freaking years of training and running these 100-milers. I finally got a sub 24-hour ultramarathon 100-miler. Oh man, and I was in the pain cave that entire time. My legs blew up at mile 40 just because I think I was overtrained, and I was kind of on the struggle bus that entire freaking race. I wish it went a little bit better, but we gotta take a win for a win. We got the job done. We didn't give up. We freaking kept hammering. I'm dying. I freaking blew out the last like 10 miles. So really pushed it hard on the last few miles. passed a few people at the at the last mile. I made a guy fall on accident. If you ever watched this, I'm so sorry. He turned around to ask if I wanted to pass and then hit a root and just like fell right on the ground. I felt so bad. But got it done. Official time for the Vermont 100, or not official, unofficial time for the Vermont 100. 22 hours, 30 minutes. Whew. Got it done. Got it freaking done. It's pretty awesome. Pretty proud. I'm disappointed in my body, but really proud of the performance just because it was such a struggle. It was hot. It was a struggle bus the entire time. And I'm pretty excited about it. So now I got like the shivers. Went back to my van. They make you park like a quarter mile, half mile away from the freaking finish line. So got the belt buckle, got some soda or some food or whatever it may be, and then made the trek back to the car and took a bucket bath. So I just got a bucket, put some water in it, washed up with some soap, and then took the jar of freaking water and just sprayed it all over my body. So now I'm gonna go to freaking sleep because I am dying. Thanks for sticking this one out with me. I'll have a little bit more details and everything. So thanks for sticking this one out for me. Thanks for sticking this one out. Gotta do a good recovery for the Yeti 100 and hopefully my body performs for that one so then I can really see what this training has done for my fitness. All right, let's go. So there we have it. That was my experience with the Vermont 100. My official time was 22 hours, 30 minutes, and 34 seconds. I'm super excited about that time. After 2 years of grinding away, we finally got that goal of a sub 24-hour 100-miler, and I'm glad that it was on the Vermont 100 because that race I was absolutely struggling for about 50 miles. My legs were destroyed. They were swollen for 50 miles. It was hot and there was a lot of elevation gain, a lot of rolling hills. So I'm glad that I got my sub 24 hours on a pretty difficult course. Thinking about coming from the Grindstone 100, my first 100-miler that I actually ran in 33 hours, I pretty much walked 40 to 50 miles of that race, just clawing my way in the mountains. My legs were completely swollen when I got done. My endocrine system was completely shot. My motivation was shot. I was so demoralized by that race that I didn't regularly run for about 6 to 8 months after the Grindstone 100. But we got back up. We freaking grinded it away. We learned more. We got the experience that we needed. We learned more about gear, more about our body, and how we could actually push ourselves to that goal of a sub 24 hour. And that's what it's all about. It's about chipping away, it's about grinding away, and it's about staying on course. Consistency is king. You're going to have to sacrifice something if you want to complete your missions, if you want to complete your goals. You're going to have to sacrifice some comfort. You're going to have to sacrifice time. You're going to have to sacrifice some happiness or some toenails or maybe some skin, whatever it may be. You're going to have to put in the work, sacrifice, and you're going to have to be consistent. So get out there, be consistent, be an average savage, and complete your motherfucking goals. Let's do it. Let's get out there and become average savages. Seek pain and earn comfort. Let's go.